Hey there. Welcome, civilians. You've arrived at the home of civilized and thought-provoking commentary. Get ready for elevation, growth, and experience. I am the civilized woman.
Hello, everybody. Welcome, civilians. Welcome back. Welcome to old and new subscribers alike. I thank each and every one of y'all. I'm so grateful and I'm so appreciative for those who have subscribed, who return to my channel, who take the time to comment whether you agree with me or don't agree with me. I'm very grateful for that and very much appreciate it. Happy Friday Eve, aka Thursday, but I like to call it Friday Eve. And I hope that y'all's week has been well. I hope everything is going well. I hope you're bracing yourself as you go into the weekend. You can get some rest and relaxation. If you have to work during the weekends, I'm sorry, but let's thank God for the job. And also feel free to binge, listen, or watch my commentary so it'll get you through the weekend. So without further ado, y'all, the latest episode of Love and Marriage Huntsville. Now, I've had this kind of written up since like Monday, like my notes anyway, and I just have not had the chance to really get my mind right to deliver this commentary to y'all sooner. The fact, though, that we have gotten to the point, let me just tell y'all remind y'all what the name of this episode was. Signed, sealed, divorced, I'm yours. The fact that we've gotten to this point in the show where you can have extras be the focus, and that's Trisha, Ken, and Marquez be the focus of an entire episode. It's crazy to me when 2/3 of the core 6 have not even had, I don't think they've even had one episode, even half an episode this second half of the season thus far. So the never ending girls trip, they're there. Mel does, she's doing her thing, being the hostess with the mostest. She does like a recap, trying to get the feel, the vibe of everybody, how they feel about the trip. Of course, Kimmy speaks up and she says, "Oh, I don't do girls trip. This was my first time. It was Tisha's first time too, based on how Tisha responded. Not surprised there at all that this is their first time, according to them, doing a girls trip. Kimmy don't like girls trip because she just doesn't like them, but she was very surprised that she she did it and she enjoyed it. I'm not gonna hold y'all. Kimmy's answer seemed insincere, but especially as it pertains to Mel, Kimmy always seems to be insincere when she's interacting with Mel, especially when it comes to where it would be a situation where she would give Melody praise. It just seems to be a little bit hard for her. She kind of has to force it out of her. Of course, while everybody's going around and just talking about how great the trip was, Destiny gives her stank. Like, she really does not have the luxury of giving those stank looks. I don't understand why she does that, but she really needs to work on her face. Now, this is coming from somebody who, not gonna hold y'all, I'm somebody too. If however I'm feeling, my face is gonna tell on me before I say anything. So it's always better. That's why I'm always direct and I always say it like it is. I'm not gonna pee on your leg and tell you it's raining because my face is gonna give it away. But even for people like us, like me, you gotta work on your facial expressions. And Destiny's face gave her away. And Mel caught the shade and called it out and was like, "So are you not having a good time?" And she kind of had to mutter through that, but of course in the confessional she felt like everybody was kissing Melody's behind, and they may have been, because based on some of the complaints that they had and some of the stuff they were saying in the confessionals and some of the stuff they said after they left, they probably were, but at least they had the decency, recognizing the moment that they were in, to keep the positive vibes going. I don't think any of us are under the assertion that any of these people are actually friends in real life. But the reality is there has to be some levity in the show. If it is not, it would be absolutely unbearable to watch. So there has to be things that's done to kind of give it a flow where, okay, yeah, you're going to have things that come up, but we handle it how we handle it, and we keep pushing it, and we recognize that we're in, a beautiful tropical location, and let's make the best of it. And honestly, that's real life. No, it would be an absolute nightmare to go on a girls trip or any kind of trip, and the entire time it is just strife and contention, and there's no way to move forward. So while all that is going on, of course, you Destiny party pooper, woe is me, cry me a river. Why people are asking Sonny about having a baby with Moses? It's like the man chose to marry that lady. Get over it. And honestly, Sonny needs to get over the fact, the need to keep explaining about her relationship with her husband. He married you. You don't have anything, in my opinion, else to explain about that. There should be no reason for you to go back and forth between Sonny. I mean, I beg your pardon. There's no reason, Sonny, for you to keep going back and forth with Destiny on anything as far as it concerns your husband. So that whole thing is crazy to me. I already said in other reviews that was just, that whole storyline was a catalyst to get Destiny on the show so she could go at Mel and be Martell's tool. So that I'm extra over that at this point. So Mel shows empathy for Destiny. Calling a spade. Like when she was saying some stuff, Sunny did give some looks. Like, of course, it is flashback. They're good to do flashbacks when it comes to if it looks like Mel is gonna be called out or Sunny is gonna be called out, but they don't really do them with most of the other people. So it is what it is. But I will always give Mel credit for that, because no matter what she goes through with these people, she right is right, wrong is wrong. She calls it as she sees it, no matter what. And that's what being a grown up is. You don't have to like somebody or be friends with somebody in order for you to call a spade a spade. And these people on this cast somehow don't understand that at all. So in true Destiny's fashion, she's trying to turn this positive again. They have to keep this going. They're trying to keep it going, keep it flowing. She's trying to turn the negative into she's trying to turn the positive into a negative. And then, y'all, the way Trisha got on my absolute nerve in this episode. I mean, I don't usually pay her much attention, but seeing as though the entire episode was about them, she annoyed the absolute mess out of like, she annoyed me to no end. Her and Ken go out to me. She gives him a recap of what's going on and what went on the trip, talking about being annoyed by the comparison. She definitely had a lot to say about Sunny, Moses, and Destiny's situation, and she's absolutely in a glass house throwing stones. If I'm somebody who has a husband and a boyfriend and a possible side dude, or a jump off, or whatever sneaky link, aka with Martell or somebody else, you don't need to be commenting on anybody else's situation. I don't care if it's not, they're both fruit. Whether it's apples and oranges, they're both fruit. So they're both part of the same family. There's no way you have any moral standing, in my opinion, Trisha, to be commenting on anybody else's situation. You actually are in covenant. Destiny and Moses were never in covenant. You are in covenant, aka you are married. You have a husband. So the fact that you are in covenant, marriage is God ordained, and is between a man and a wife before God, and a bunch of witnesses, or at least one witness. So you don't have a reason. Everybody else that called you on that were absolutely correct. Sunny and Destiny were professional acquaintances at best, if you let Sunny tell it. So for you to have the nerve to open your mouth and not understand why you were getting checked and people were pointing at you like, what you talking about? And then you calling Dr. Shanita Mel's puppet. She was right. Why are you over here talking with a whole husband and a boyfriend, talking about having so much of an opinion? You know everybody there the least. I don't understand how somebody who don't really know most of the people there felt so comfortable being able to give so many opinions. If it seems like somebody has given you some cliff notes, because you shouldn't have been that comfortable or confident enough to be trying to say nothing about nobody, given your situation and the fact that you don't really know these people like that. And then she called herself sneak dissing Mel. Girl, why? You don't even know that lady. You were way too familiar with Melody. Mind you, I'm confident you wouldn't have said none of that stuff to that lady's face. But you were way too comfortable and confident comparing yourself to Melody. I don't understand these people, this obsession that they have with comparing themselves to Melody. Like every woman that comes on this show, it's like they're trying to take her spot. And it's like heavy is the head that wears the crown. Just because she wears it well doesn't mean you can just take it off her head and put it on your head. So she's talking to Ken. He of course expresses frustration about being, called the side dude and all that. I'm like, sir, that's what you are. That lady has a husband. Until she no longer has that husband, that's precisely what you are. A side dude, if this little situation y'all got going on is even legitimate. Again, I'll stand by what I've said previously. I don't believe necessarily that this relationship with Ken and Trisha and Marquez is a real thing. My mind cannot rationalize what is standard of men that a man would allow himself to be the side dude for a woman. Unfortunately, we women would play that position. There's some of us, hello Ariane, who would play that position in a heartbeat. But this is not typically what men do. And with him admitting previously that he messed with another married woman, I think if they are really in a real relationship, Trisha needs to keep one eye open. She needs to keep one eye open for sure, because something about that is not right. And I'll say it again, something ain't clean in the buttermilk as far as that's concerned. So she's giving Ken the whole rundown about how their situation came up and how she couldn't understand why people were comparing her to Destiny's situation. And then she all of a sudden was talking about, while just like Mel. So the fact that she's in a marriage and that she's quote unquote separated and she has a boyfriend is akin to something that Mel did. How on earth, ma'am, would you know what Mel did in her marriage? How would you know, Trisha, what Mel did in her marriage? For you to compare yourself, your little raggedy situation, to say that's what she did in her marriage, that she had a boyfriend while she was separated from her husband, her ex-husband. What do you know about it? Where are you getting your information from? Sounds like you've been briefed by some people to me in this little plan to try and take Mel down. Who sent you, Trisha? Who sent you? So then they cut to the men. Again, y'all gonna see from my thumbnail, I'm aware that men are in this scene, in this episode, and they're in these scenes that I'm going to talk about. But you'll notice that only the women that were germane to this episode is on the thumbnail for a reason. This show is predominantly female audience. The cast is predominantly female. Ever since the executive producer decided to move it from where we're talking about couples in real estate to focusing the entire show on the demise of a marriage, it's about the women. And he goes out of his way to give these men more focus than they need to have. He has this obsession about elevating men in these reality shows that are clearly female-led, female-driven, female audience. So you're going to notice I'll talk about them, but as far as I'm concerned, the men are accessories when it concerning this show, and they're not pertinent as far as I'm concerned. So no, they're not going to be on the thumbnail for this episode. But I digress. So they flash to the men gathering and talking, and then Ken starts to talk to Martell about Trish. Sir, you're not that lady's husband. You don't like being disrespected, but you're disrespecting yourself, sir, by being a side dude. Why are you over there trying to check another man about somebody else's wife? And being in your feelings and feeling away and feeling that you're disrespecting yourself. You're asking people to give you what you're not even giving yourself. Respect yourself, sir. What self-respecting man finds himself in the situation that you're in right now? Where you're quote unquote and that is what you are, because that lady is married. So you are the side dude. Okay, so then they go to the next scene. This part of the show features the Scots. Now, the Scots do what they do best in this episode, and that's getting paid off of other people's storylines instead of their own. If they don't do nothing else, they gonna get paid off of somebody else's storyline without sharing absolutely nothing about themselves. So Kimmy and Maurice are in the little outside porch area, real cute, real serene. I actually like that. It's really nice. And she's all happy about being home and all of that. And I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, yeah, you probably did want to go home from that girls trip because you're concerned that you being away, where your husband may be putting his peen. Is he keeping his peen at home? Seeing as though that he couldn't even, when you were not feeling well, he couldn't even restrain himself to be more focused on your well-being than his physical need. I bet that was a motivation as to why you don't do girls trip and you couldn't wait to come home and you're so happy to be home. I bet. Imagine being in paradise on a trip that you didn't have to pay anything for, that you're getting paid to go on, but being worried about your son's man. That's her son husband, because he's not even really her husband. He's really her oldest son. Her son's man is at home twiddling his thumbs, I guess, or was he putting his peen elsewhere? So that probably was the real motivation as to why you wanted to come home from that trip so bad. And y'all, when I hear the Scots criticize other people for things that they do, it's beyond comical. So again, sticking true to their form, talking about somebody else's storyline, Maurice starts to, as the folks like to call him, Maurice Luther King Jr., starts to talk about talk about Marquez and the whole Trisha Ken storyline. And the idea of Maurice criticizing another man for being a bad husband is beyond comical. Even though he is the last person to be calling somebody out, or one of the last persons on this show to be calling somebody out on being a bad husband, he's not completely wrong in assessing the Ken and Trisha situation, if I'm just being honest. Right? Like, how is she able to move on, or how is Ken as a man able to move on with somebody else's husband? How is he moving forward? That definitely needs to be cleared. So then they go to Tisha and Marceau's house, and let me tell you about those kids. They know how to get their parents together. Marceau called himself saying something slick to Macy, and she got him all the way together. So them kids know their parents for their works, and they know what they're about. Once again, Marceau throwing shade at Mel, talking about something she can't keep a friend, and then Tisha chiming in talking about something, not even family members. And I'm like, which family member did she fall out with? The only person that could be considered family would be Martell. Is that who you're referring to? Because as far as we can see, there ain't nobody in her family that she done fell out with. Also, it's not a loss if the people that you or your that were your so-called friends are snakes and your ops. But given all of that, at least I could take that kind of shade. That was light and compared to some of the other things that they have been a part of, saying the Melody. That's all fair in the game of reality TV, as far as I'm concerned. Mel got to get her shade on Tisha last episode, so that was cool. But Marcel calling out Trisha Martell Ken on on lying and needing to get their story straight is again another comical display from a Scott's brother. Those who are prone to not being intimately acquainted with the truth, calling out other people for not being truthful is very interesting. And then they said something that really I was like, say what now? Marcel says that both Mel and Destiny have done foul stuff to each other. And I'm like, did I miss something? What foul stuff did Mel do to Destiny? Was it foul for her to help her pay her light bill? Or the fact that she purchased or rented that house that she's in through Destiny, which helped get Destiny commission, which was money in her pocket, or sponsoring her businesses, like her business endeavors, whatever her whatever she's put on for Madani, for actually interacting with her on this show. What foul stuff did Melody do to Destiny? I need y'all to help me out. Please feel free to jot a few down in the comments. I'll take one. Give me one foul thing that Mel has done to Destiny. Because I'm not one of those people who has my head buried in the sand. Nobody's perfect, and and Melody is no exception to that. We're humans. We're all fallible. None of us is perfect, and that woman has never claimed to be perfect. She just lives her life as best as she can and trying to achieve everything that she wants to achieve for her life in spite of. But I don't want to be out here like missing something. So y'all help me out. What foul stuff has Melody done to Destiny besides help her out? What else? What else is there? And then Tisha said something like, we don't know what went on in their relationship. What else is there to know? You're talking about foul stuff that Mel did to Destiny. What about the stuff that Destiny has done and continues to do to Mel? Calling that girl's mama a pimp, or going back and giving the ex-husband details, or filming Melody's children with the side chick, knowing that man tried to put out revenge pee on her using said side chick. I think the list of the foul stuff that Destiny has done to Mel runs a lot longer than what Melody allegedly or supposedly had done to Destiny that was foul. I don't know about y'all. If any of my friends feel like being foul to me by paying my bills, please go ahead. You want to offend me at all? If anybody listening to this commentary want to be foul to me and pay any of my bills, please feel free to do so. I would happily take it, because if that's what it is to be foul to somebody, helping them pay their bills to keep their light on, or helping them with money for legal fees, then baby, listen, be as foul to me as you want to be. I'll take that any day of the week. Tisha and Marcel mentioned that it didn't make sense about what Destiny said about Mel coaching Ariane to cheat respectfully. That makes sense. And Tisha agreed. Now, I don't know if she was agreeing because that was probably the first time her in several conversations that we've seen that her and Marcel are on the same page, because we all know that they'll be behind closed doors and say one thing, especially when it's concerning Mel. And as soon as they're in public and it's in front of Mel, Marcel is going to leave Tisha hanging. So I don't know if Tisha was just trying to be in agreement with Marcel, or if she really felt this way, that it didn't make sense what Destiny said about Mel coaching Ariana to cheat respectfully. And also, now, Tisha, if you got that didn't make no daggone sense, that Melody would be teaching Ariane how to respectfully cheat with Martell, her then husband, why didn't you open your mouth and say that at the trip? Why didn't you say, now, Destiny girl, you know you my girl, but I don't make no sense that Mel would be coaching Ariane to cheat respectfully with Martell? But again, that's par for the course when it comes to these people, to be honest. Anything that would be remotely helpful to Melody, or would remotely show empathy towards Melody, or to be sympathetic towards her, or even concern or caring, or even just human decency towards her, they won't do it, even if it means that they're standing on the side of wrong. They'd rather stand on the side of wrong than look like they're even having any kind of understanding of what Melody is going through. And that kind of hardness, I don't know how these people have blood running through their veins when you see everything that this man has put this woman through and continues to put her through, and there are children involved, and y'all have children, and because y'all want to be famous, so y'all want fame so bad, and y'all done drank the Kool-Aid of this executive producer, and now y'all are to the point where it's kind of like, we got to keep following this thing through. Not one of y'all is willing to jump off this ship of trying to take this lady down, even at the cost of your own character. This show is not going to last forever, but what y'all are showing on here will. And there's no way, in my opinion, that it does not impact anything you do outside of this show or after this show. So the closing scenes in this episode: Ken and Trisha at a restaurant waiting for Marquez to come, because now they got to talk, right, and get things squared away and cleared up. So Marquez gets to the restaurant. They start to talk. At one point, Ken is interrupting Marquez and Trisha. Again, I'm like, sir, husband and wife are having a conversation. Please be respectful to these married folk talking to each other, and mind your business. I'm sorry, y'all. It's just so irritating. The ownership that Ken has over Trisha is weird to me. You're not in the position to have that kind of ownership over somebody else's wife. What's going on over there? And then when Marquez starts to talk and his concern about Ken being around his children, honestly, y'all, I felt that. I really, really felt that, especially with what you never know people. You never know. There's been 2 stories out this week about somebody who is a spouse or like an in-law, violating children. So I felt that, but at the same time, I was kind of like, Marquez, you put yourself in this situation. You put yourself in this situation to where another man is around your children in a way that you feel away, and you feel like as a man he should have came and talked to you. All of that is completely understandable. But again, we're putting the cart before the horse here as far as I'm concerned. Until y'all are divorced, that's not even a conversation that you and Ken should be having, and he really shouldn't even be around your children like that. Real talk. If that's what's going on, so Marquez can't figure out if he's a absentee or a present father. I don't know how you can be both at the same time, but he seemed like he's trying to work that out while they were having this conversation. So I think his concern about his kids is fair, and then Marquez seems to be insinuating that this Trish and Ken thing had been going on longer, because that Ken and Trisha knew each other even while Marquez and them were still kind of together. So I don't know if what he was talking about there. Again, I'm telling y'all, I never believed their whole little situation, and I still don't believe it. The $1 million question to me is, this is this CK? This messy storyline has his name written all over it. So Marquez says, I don't have I don't have nobody in my life, and then he switches it to saying I don't have a woman in my life. So he goes from saying I don't have nobody in my life to I don't have a woman in my life. Now, I ain't trying to be messy, but the word on the street is that if he were to have someone in his life, allegedly, it may not, possibly, a little bit, could not be, maybe not so much a woman. But that's the word on the street. Y'all didn't hear that from me. I'm just telling you what the people be saying, what they had said on the street. That if he were to have somebody in his life, he's living down in the ATL, that they may be set up a little bit more like him than they may be set up like Trish. But I'm gonna move on from that because I don't know. That's not my business. So then Marquez pulls out this paper that's supposed to be the divorce paper, and he's getting ready to sign it at the table. Not gonna hold y'all. That's giving fake. It's giving fake. And he starts to go through the emotions, and him and Trisha were high school sweethearts, and so anyway, Ken at the end, Ken and Marquez, they actually are handling matters like men, and that seemed genuine. How Marquez is talking about we about getting them kind of having an understanding and dealing with each other as men. Ken is talking about recommending counseling to him, and just them trying to have an understanding, and that part seemed genuine. Now, Trisha seemed particularly cold when Marquez was expressing his emotion. She didn't really have a lot of compassion for him, and it was just kind of like, here we go again with the emotions. It was kind of like that's his tool that he uses when he's trying to get somebody to feel sorry for him. So she wasn't moved by that at all. She wasn't moved by that at all. So, y'all, it really was crazy that this entire episode was focused on Ken, Trisha, and Marquez. Three people that I really don't be trying to stunt like that when it comes to this show. But this is where we are, that they would get a whole episode. And Scott's, I know y'all like cribbing off, riding off of other people's storylines, but I'm not going to hold y'all. This whole episode of just Ken, Trisha, and Marquez has been better than what you all have brought for several seasons now. What y'all have brought let me repeat that, for several seasons now. Y'all have gotten too comfortable and are resting on your laurels of not having to bring anything and still collecting a paycheck. I don't know what kind of deal y'all got with Carlos. I don't know what that's looking like. I can't understand how he's been able to get away with not having y'all give y'all real life and what's going on with y'all. But that's just crazy to me, that the Scots are just such a snooze fest, and they're perfectly comfortable with being snooze fest, and they have their job security is better than the weatherman. The fact that they've been able to be on this show this long and not have to bring nothing. So that's it, y'all. That is all I have to say about this episode, season 9, episode 3, signed, sealed, divorced. Maybe not so much. I'm yours. Until next time.
Please like, comment, share, and don't forget to subscribe. Thank you.